Hi folks, how you doing? Finally, this fifth game has finished between Magnus Carlsen with white and Vishy Anand with black. And guess what? We got the first decisive result in this World Championship match. Carlsen has succeeded in winning, in converting his edge in this interesting endgame we just let here in the first video. First decisive result of the game of the match, first blood for Magnus, and obviously a very important day as Anand is now back on the score and will surely have to try to take his own back. Let us see how this game continued. We left it here after rook takes b7 and win this slightly better endgame for white, kind of position that Magnus just loves to play. Not that much risk, but he can keep torturing his opponent for as long as he wants. So now rook hf1 was played, just a move bringing the rook onto the open file. Another logical plan could be try to play rook d2 and double rooks on the d file, but anyway, rook hf1, just not a bad move at all. And now rook b5, a really interesting one, with the idea of putting the rook on this e5 square, attacking the bishop, and at the same time x-raying this e3 pawn. Now black is trying to be really active to compensate his weaknesses. Rook f4 trying to prevent that, defending the bishop, anticipating, and also maybe with some ideas of doubling rooks and trying to get into the 7th. And here another strong move by the world champion, g5, just asking that rook for some explanations. Now he's going to be removed from this 4th rank, and rook f3 was played by Magnus, defending this pawn, but although it is not that bad situated here, at some point he might have to be careful for some tricks with the bishop coming here, attacking the rooks. An alternative maybe was rook f2, but trying to double on the d file, but once again black must have this idea of rook e5, attacking the bishop, and if he doesn't want to lose this e3 pawn, white will probably have to defend with rook d4, and after it probably something like c5 and e5, or harassing the rook wouldn't be that great for white. So here Magnus went with this rook f3, and now h5, just trying to activate his rook like Magnus did yesterday in the previous games, without moving it from the initial square, just trying to create something here. Rook df1, just with a simple idea of getting here onto the 7th rank and control this 7th rank, which would be obviously very important, very dangerous for black. Bishop e8 is just preventing it, although it's cutting the file for the rook, not letting him play whenever he wants, whatever he wants right now. It is very important to cover this rook f7 threat. And now bishop c2, more or less anticipating this bishop rook e5 idea, putting the bishop in a which seems not at least a worse square. And now rook c5, just pinning the bishop, and maybe having the idea to play bishop g6 and attacking this bishop. Probably white is not willing to exchange it right now, so rook f6, just attacking the weakness on e6 and preventing black from playing putting the bishop on g6. Now h4, just a couple of moves, like not that black has that many ideas. He had just to be careful not to weaken too much his position, and also although he knows he's weak, he's worse if he tries to keep everything connected, keep everything controlled. He should be more or less able to hold this position. h4, now e4, trying to advance some pawns, gain some space. a5, probably trying to control this b4 square, not to let white advance this pawn so easily. Now king d2, I'm pinning the bishop. Anand goes right to b5, just to attack that weak pawn on b2, and b3, a very interesting move, just not getting that much, but just keeping the game playing on. White has almost zero chances to lose this. There is not much risk of keeping playing, so very typical in his style. Magnus just keeps torturing his opponent. Note that defending it with something like c3 would probably repeat the position, and white is not achieving anything special. So b3 and now bishop h5, controlling some of these diagonals, some of these light squares as well, and probably letting this other rook to play on the 8th rank. King c3 getting nearer with the king. Now after the check, the king goes to b2 and protects both the bishop and the pawn on b3. Now the bishop would not be tied up to the defense of this b3 pawn. Rook d8 with the clear idea of going down to the 2nd rank, pinning this bishop, probably going down with the bishop to d1, try to exchange some pieces and dominate the 2nd rank, which would give him a lot of excellent chances to be equal in this position, to have not much problems. Of course, white Magnus prevents that by taking the 2nd file himself first. And now rook d4, putting this rook into the which seems to be more or less the most active square he got, just in the center, controlling lots of squares. Now rook h6. What else can white do? There is not much really that to do to improve his position. So rook h6, just threatening the bishop, also keeping an eye on this 6th rank, just with some ideas to double rooks here. And now very precise, bishop d1, as if white decides to exchange. Black will have some ideas of getting down on the 1st rank and giving white lots of checks, probably drawing the game. So that's by the reason probably Magnus declines this exchange and just goes with the bishop to b1, just to keep playing, just a position he knows he's slightly better, and keeps pressing. Rook b5, just attacking the b3 pawn. Now it is protected only with the king, and the only move here, king c3, not to lose it, because now you're attacking the rook on d4. Obviously black cannot take it because he will be losing lots of material. And something like c5, more or less correct here, protecting the rook and keeping this rook on a very central square, an important square. Going back with the rook was not that good, because white is probably winning in lots of ways here. After this check, this king hasn't that much squares to go, as if he goes to d6, these checks is taking the bishop, the rook on d8, and although white will take here on, black will take here, sorry, on b1, he'll be down an exchange for a pawn, which is probably not enough to hold the game. And if he, after the check, he goes to the 8th rank, white wins in a much simpler way, just exchanging here and taking the bishop on d1 with this skewer. So obviously c5 a correct move, just defending the rook on the center. Rook b2, defending the pawn on b3, which was being a little bit targeted. e5, just moving another pawn. What else can black do? Nothing really special he can do, just keep strengthening his position, trying to hold. Now rook g6 with the simple threat of taking the pawn. And here a4. Most of people saying this was more or less an inaccuracy, but not really sure what else can black do. Computer suggesting something like g4. Now the pawn is protected by the bishop, but now white will defend, attack the pawn there on e5. King comes up, and not really sure if this line is better than the previous line. Probably is not taking white is not taking the pawn right away, but not really that clear what the plan is for black. Either white, I don't see either that many ways of advancing, improving the position for white, but anyway, this was another line which wasn't played. Instead, Anand went for this a4, playing more dynamically, attacking this b3, and now Magnus takes, and black forces the exchange of a rook at the cost of losing a pawn, because now white will take here, king d6, and the white rook is going to take the pawn on h4. So now black is going to be down a pawn, and will try to look for some initiative, some counterplay, more probably against the white king, which is more awkwardly placed and between these couple of black pieces, and as if he gets very passive and doesn't do anything, he will probably lose in a couple of moves. So rook d1 attacking the bishop, and now white has this e5 resource, checking and winning some time to relocate his bishop. King d5, bishop a7, with the idea probably to check. Now this pawn is hanging once again. Black is already down a pawn and must be very careful. And this is, as it seems, the most important move of the game. It was Black's position is already difficult, but there was a move here suggested by the engines, not a very human move, unfortunately for Anand, which was rook a1, which was saving the day for Black, more or less, as it seems, because after bishop g8 check, king c5 exchange, this incredible move, rook takes a3, and the bishop is not going anywhere. It's going to be taken on the next move, and Black is not losing any other pawn, because after this he will still have this a4 pawn. He's up only one. He's down. Sorry, only one pawn, and probably lots of chances to draw this game because he has this couple of passed pawns which are going to give him some counterplay. Instead, Anand went for this rook c1 check, which seems to be a mistake, although not really easy to play in this position. And now king b2, and it seems that this was helping white, because this, as we will see, this king is going to be very well situated here on the later pawn and rook endgame to prevent Black from getting behind this a pawn, which will be passed in the future. Now rook g1, trying to take that pawn. Now check, king c5, and this precise move just gets keeps chasing this Black king further from the center. A tempo he will have to lose. We'll see which will be very important in a couple of moves. And now exchange, and although white takes that one, he's going to lose this h4 pawn. Now he's down to 2 pawns, and the point, as we saw a couple of moves earlier, that this king is excellently situated here on the b file, is preventing this Black rook from getting behind this passed pawn. Just remember that the ideal place to put a rook in a rook and pawn endgame is behind a passed pawn, whether it's yours or the opponent's ones. So here already Anand was realizing his position was very tough, probably losing one. Once again, just body language was very clear here, although the Indian world champion is very good at hiding his emotions. At this point you could see that he was very, very worried. So after this, king e6. Now this is the tempo that Black has to lose, thanks to this precise check a couple of moves ago. And now he's going to take e5, but at the same time the white pawn on the a file is going to go very far. Now this is another very precise move, rook h7, preventing Black from going nearer to this a pawn, from going to the center. Now the rook can't go there as well, so king just goes back to d5, a6, a check, just trying to do something. And after king c3, finally Black can get behind the pawn onto the a file, but now the rook on h7 is controlling the pawn. It is protected, and it is only one square from being a queen. And now Anand played king c5, just trying to get back to that one. But don't you forget that Magnus has this another passed pawn on the other edge of the board. h4, move 58, and the world champion had to stop the clock and resign the game. Really a fantastic game today, kind of a very typical game by Magnus. He has the edge, he keeps pressing. Finally, the world champion, in this case the opponent, cracks and has to resign the game. So a game which will be remembered by many for lots of times. The first time Carlsen beats Anand on the world championship match. This was the 5th game. Let us see what happens in the next games. It is clear that Anand will have to try to get his own back, and it will get this match really much more interesting than it was today. Let's see what's going on next day. Today we got the 6th game. Let's hope for more crazy and fighting chess there. Thanks for watching.